In this video, we're going to talk about the American HIMARS system. So before starting, please do like the video and subscribe to this channel for future updates. The M142 HIMARS, a small multiple rocket launcher developed in the late 1990s for the U.S. Army, is installed on a conventional FMTV truck frame. One HIMARS pod has 6 GMLRS rockets or one ATACMS missile. Based on the U.S. Army's FMTV 5-ton truck, it can launch all Multiple Launch Rocket System Family or munitions rockets, MFOM. The M270 MLRS uses 2 ammunition pods, although HIMARS uses 1. Lockheed C-130 Hercules transports the launcher. BAE Systems Mobility and Protection Systems, previously Armor Holdings Aerospace and Defense Group Tactical Vehicle Systems Division, manufactured the FMTV vehicle that transports HIMARS. From 2010 to 2017, Oshkosh produced it. Camden, Arkansas-based Lockheed Martin Missiles and Fire Control makes the chassis and launcher system. Design: the HIMARS is comparable to the M270 Multiple Launch Rocket System MLRS, but is wheeled instead of tracked. HIMARS has one M270-style ordnance pod. Sapphire laminated with glass and polycarbonate makes the windows. HIMARS was also tested as a unitary launch system for artillery rockets and the SLAM-RAM surface-launched AMRAAM anti-aircraft missile. In October 2017, a Marine Corps HIMARS rocket fired from the deck of the amphibious transport dock USS Anchorage hit a land target for the first time, showing the system's capacity to fire from ships against shore defenses. The vehicle's targeting software was improved to fire better from a moving launch platform. After the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, Lockheed Martin expanded HIMARS production from 48 to 60 launchers per year. In October 2022, the business announced it will increase manufacturing from 5 to 8 cars per month to 96 systems per year due to war-related demand. Operational history: Afghanistan and the Middle East. In February 2010, the International Security Assistance Force, ISAF, for Afghanistan released a news release claiming that 2 HIMARS missiles had missed their target by 300 meters, killing 12 people during Operation Mushtarak. ISAF suspended HIMARS use pending a full investigation. Later, a British officer said the rockets were on target, the Taliban was using the target, and the system had been reinstalled. The ISAF forces were aware of the civilians' presence, and the Taliban used them as human shields, killing them. In October 2010, the New York Times credited the HIMARS with supporting the NATO battle in Kandahar by striking Taliban commanders' hideouts, driving several to flee to Pakistan. The U.S. Army announced in November 2015 that it had deployed the HIMARS to Iraq and fired at least 400 rockets at Islamic State (ISIL) sites since July. Al-Assad and Al-Taqaddum air bases in Al-Anbar Governorate received HIMARS detachments. A U.S. Army HIMARS launched rockets into Syria for the first time in March 2016 to support Syrian rebels fighting ISIL from Jordan launchers. Lockheed reported a 99% operational readiness rate for HIMARS after 1 million operational hours with U.S. forces in January 2016. In April 2016, the U.S. said it would deploy HIMARS near Syria's border in Turkey to fight ISIL. International media and the U.S. State Department stated a freshly deployed HIMARS had struck ISIL targets in Syria near the Turkish border in early September. HIMARS participated in the Battle of Mosul from Qayyarah Airfield West, 65 kilometers south of Mosul, in October 2016. In September 2018, U.S. support forces collaborated with Syrian Democratic forces in the Deir ez-Zor battle, sometimes hitting ISIS positions 30 times a day with GMLRS rockets. This assistance operation used HIMARS in the Omar oil fields 25 kilometers north of ISIS-controlled objectives. Ukraine. On the 31st of March 2022, the U.S. said it would supply Ukraine with M31 GMLRS unitary rockets for HIMARS. 4 units would be sent the next day. Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Colin Kahl suggested the U.S. could send more equipment as fighting progresses. According to Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov, the first HIMARS landed on June 23rd. On the 25th of June 2022, Ukraine started deploying the system against Russian forces during the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. Artillerymen of the armed forces of Ukraine targeted military objectives of the enemy on our Ukrainian soil, said Valery Zaluzhnyi, Ukraine's chief of general staff. The Ukrainian military said the first strike on a Russian base near Izium killed approximately 40 servicemen. A second batch of 4 was promised for mid-July, the day before. Selecting targets and then accurately hitting them, diminishing Russian capacity, a U.S. defense official said on July 1st, the prompt arrival of M142 HIMARS, which deliver precise attacks on enemy-controlled posts, ammunition, and fuel storage depots, contributes to our retention of defensive lines and positions. Zaluzhnyi said on July 18th. The weeks-long training process for Ukrainian forces delayed delivery of 4 more HIMARS until the 8th of July. U.S. prohibited Ukraine from firing HIMARS rockets into Russia to avoid escalation. For the same reason, the U.S. has not provided Ukraine with the longer-range ATACMS missile, which could readily engage targets instead inside of Russia. On July 20th, a 4th batch of 4 HIMARS was committed to Ukraine, bringing the total to 16. Ukraine needed at least 100 of the system, according to Defense Minister Reznikov, because 8 systems had damaged 30 command stations and ammunition storage sites, reducing Russian shelling and slowing their advance. That announcement disclosed 12 launchers delivered, 16 by the 1st of August. The Washington Post reported on the 30th of August 2022 that Ukrainian decoy HIMARS units made of wood attracted at least 10 Russian 3M54 caliber cruise missiles. One U.S. ambassador stated that the Russian sources claimed more HIMARS destroyed than the U.S. supplied. Earlier that month, a Pentagon official said no HIMARS had been destroyed. We are seeing actual and verifiable benefits from Ukraine in the usage of these systems, Joint Chief Chairman General Mark Milley told reporters on 8th of September. The Ukrainian HIMARS have hit over 400 targets with devastating effect. On the 28th of September, 18 more HIMARS were announced as part of an aid package for Ukraine's mid- and long-term requirements, but delivery wouldn't start for 6 months. Ukraine has just M31 unitary warhead missiles, which are not ideal because targets distributed across wide areas as the deadly bits are not designed to fly far. They received the M30A1 in early October, which employs the alternative warhead to cover half a square mile of terrain in a single salvo, with almost 200,000 tungsten ball bearings. On the 4th of October, the U.S. confirmed that 4 more HIMARS launchers from U.S. military inventories will be delivered to Ukraine, raising the total to 20. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu ordered Russian forces to target HIMARS due to its impact. Ukrainian officials called Russia's kamikaze drones the largest threat to HIMARS. How has Ukraine used HIMARS? Phillips O'Brien, professor of strategic studies at St. Andrews University, said HIMARS were first employed in Ukraine in late June or early July. It was employed up and down the front in eastern Ukraine, striking at ammunition stockpiles some 30 miles beyond the Russian lines, he said. He believes Ukraine may be using HIMARS against Russian troops in barracks and command posts. Ukraine alleges that a missile attack in Lysychansk, Luhansk, killed up to 100 troops and that a strike on the Wagner mercenary group headquarters in Popasna killed 100 of its members. Professor O'Brien believes both hits involved HIMARS. In its $9 billion security assistance package, the U.S. sent Ukraine 16 HIMARS systems. The UK's M270 missile launch system, like HIMARS, fires the same missiles. 3 have been delivered and 3 more are coming. Ukraine began employing HIMARS in mid-July to block Russia's access to southern Ukraine's Kherson, which it occupies. HIMARS rockets damaged Dnipro River bridges connecting the city to Russian-annexed Crimea. Professor O'Brien believes the Russians are defending Kherson with troops. HIMARS strikes have made replenishment difficult. HIMARS, Ukraine's war winner? HIMARS and other precise weapons are shifting the course of war in our favor, Zelensky wrote on Facebook. According to the U.S. Army, Ukraine's HIMARS destroyed over 100 high-value Russian targets by mid-August. Professor O'Brien says HIMARS cut supply routes, making it a vital weapon. It has given the Ukrainian military a new strategy, weakening Russian supply until they cannot hold, reducing Russian weaponry and wearing its army down by attrition. However, King's College London military expert Dr. Marina Myron thinks its influence was overblown. She thinks HIMARS is accurate against stationary targets with precise coordinates. HIMARS surprised the Russians, but it didn't affect the balance of power. Ukrainian Defense Secretary Olensky Reznikov said Ukraine needs 50 additional HIMARS systems to block Russian soldiers from advancing and 100 more to launch an effective counteroffensive. Professor O'Brien says the system's missile supply is more critical. A ton of ammunition and 16 HIMARS launchers will be good, he says, but missile producers are under pressure to maintain supplies. How is Russia retaliating? Dr. Myron said Russia is currently destroying HIMARS launchers and missiles during delivery. Its soldiers have claimed to have destroyed several launchers and 100 missiles have not offered proof. Professor O'Brien claims the Russians aren't excellent at destroying HIMARS because they cannot fly planes safely over conflict areas. They haven't been able to identify them from air. And it's hard to attack back at HIMARS once it's fired on you because it can move practically instantaneously. Well, what do you think about our video? Let us know in the comment box below, and please do like this video and subscribe to the channel for future updates.